to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. I'm very delighted today to introduce you to Wendy Cohen. Wendy Cohen is, what I'm learning very quickly is, it's funny, her company, she has a suite of companies and associations and conferences, and they're called PowerHouse Companies. And as I am getting to know Wendy over these last couple of months, this is the perfect title for anything that Wendy does, because I am learning what a powerhouse Wendy is. Wendy is going to talk to us today about her beginnings in our industry. She actually comes up through the building side of the industry. Here's the line that had me at hello, is that Wendy was part of a 4-person team that took a company from 10 people to 120 people. So my brain just goes, whoa, when I hear something like that. And that is just the beginning. And that is also her history. Her present is even more impressive. And so I am delighted to have been getting to know Wendy over these past couple of months. Wendy has invited me to speak at her luxury home conference, which is coming up in February in Chicago. And we're going to talk all about that later in the episode. But first, I want to introduce you to Wendy and let you understand, just like I've been learning to understand, what a dynamic, special lady this is. So Wendy, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Well, thank you, LuAnn. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Well, you've earned it.
Well, thank you. Well, I feel like I have a humble background, but what I do find that's going to hopefully be interesting for your audience is that I'm a builder from past life. So I put on my builder hat every morning, and although I have lots of different things going on today than when I first became a builder, I want to make sure that people who are listening, if you're a builder or an architect or a remodeler, and if you're, of builders, architects, and remodelers, and they're not on this podcast, please send this to them, because I feel like sometimes builders and landscape architects don't really understand that there's this great source of education, information, connection through podcasts like this, whereas I know the design community embraces it beautifully. So I just wanted to say that first, because I feel like I was going through a lot of different podcasts in the past, and I thought, boy, I wish there were more builders and architects who were participating. So hopefully after today, LuAnn, you'll get a lot of calls from them.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Well, it really will benefit us as well, because I know from the practically 500 interviews at this point that I have done, one of the things that the designers are often really wanting is to create those relationships with the builders and architects so that they can work with them from the beginning of the project. And also just to, it's the off time, it's that downtime, that networking time, that time spent at meetings together where you really understand and respect the other person's trade, their skill set, and what they have to do in a project, that how you can help and affect what they do, and then how, of course, they can help and affect what you do. So tell us a little bit about that background first, Wendy. Get us up to speed on that.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So I first got my real estate license, and I started selling custom homes that were spec homes, excuse me, not necessarily custom homes. And so I really specialized in this area in the suburbs of Chicagoland. It was a beautiful community. Again, all those communities started as farmland, but it was just 1 acre parcels. And so I was started as a realtor, and my stable of builders, that's what I used to call them, were custom home builders. And one of the custom home builders who I did all of their listings of their spec homes, which was maybe 1 or 2 a year, said, geez, you really seem to have a great handle on how to, deal with customers and the marketing side of of spec homes. So that's how I started. That was the beginning of my career as the vice president of sales and marketing for a firm that literally had 8 to 10 employees and was only buying a piece of land and putting their sign in the ground and selling a couple spec homes a year. So we fast forward, and that company grew into, instead of 8 people, to, like you said earlier, 120 people with 7 vertically integrated profit centers. So I, as a broker coming into this, I learned every aspect about how to put together, create a culture where the employees loved what they were doing, and they were proud to wear their emblem on their shirt when they went to the supermarket or the dry cleaner. And then really how to take a company that was doing just spec homes and build custom homes, do developments of communities, open a remodeling division, open architecture division, all under this umbrella, cabinet division, and then obviously carpentry, both rough and trim. And then we turned our service department into, instead of just servicing our clients the one typical on a builder's home, we actually turned it into a department that could service your home for the rest of your life. So it was this incredible experience for 18 years. It doesn't come overnight for those builders that are listening, or designers and architects who work with builders, but it certainly is possible. It is possible. So it was really, really exciting. And there's lots of different stories, but I can tell you that the one thing I learned when we created this company and built it to be a kind of the gold standard in luxury design, build, and construction in the Chicagoland area was that collaboration and having a team from the very beginning when you're starting on a project with a client was absolutely essential. That's how we grew the company, is by building this design build process that was based on collaboration. So the sales team learned that that's what made us different than any other builder that a consumer might be going to. And we talked about it as the experience. So we said the complete experience. You can go to this design build firm. And again, we're talking 1989. And I was there till 2006. So we really did, grow this concept. And so now design build is very common, which is awesome. And some people do it differently, as you know. It could be that they actually have outsourced the design team, and some have them all under one roof. So that's my history. So I'm a builder. I wake up in the morning and I want to see the project from the start to finish. I want to understand things. And when I go to help companies or collaborate or build relationships, I definitely visualize immediately in my mind what their world is on a day-to-day basis. So I understand when's a good time to call them, how much time, if they will read emails or they will not.
I love it. I love it. The thing that I love in there is that, first of all, just like you said, how exciting to be part of something that grows from this core group of important people into this big company. I can just imagine as the years are going by and it's like, should we add this division? Well, what would that look like? And who would we need? And to ultimately end up with 7 verticals under the umbrella is just, it is. The only word I can think of is exciting, and how cool to be part of something like that. And the other thing that I want to say in there that I absolutely love is you were specifically describing your philosophy on how you taught the people that were working with you and for you to sell the properties to the potential consumers by saying that it was the complete experience. And, we talk about that on the show all the time, Wendy. We talk about for interior designers how, yes, you are going to design a room and maybe a potential client is going to interview 2 or 3 designers. And ultimately, that client has the complete expectation that no matter who they select, they're going to end up with a beautifully designed room. That's not really the anxiety. That's not the criteria for selecting ultimately who they work with. The criteria is who can describe the experience, who manages the project from beginning to end with a level of professionalism that just can't be ignored. And it's so interesting that you point out that that's exactly how your philosophy was at that company, and that's what you taught the people that work for you and with you. And of course, it's no wonder that the company grew.
Yes, absolutely. And so I agree completely that communication when you're sitting down with that potential client who's not a client about what they're going to experience and using visuals. I mean, I used to take out a timeline that was prettier than your typical builder's Gantt chart that you might do in MS Project. And I would take out a very pretty timeline. I'd say, well, this is where we are today. And so here's where we're going to be when you approve your first floor, second floor, and elevation. Again, instead of not using words they don't know. And so we use tools and we truly were who we said we were. I have to go back to that. We talk about typical branding and, be who your audience brands you. You don't brand, you don't brand yourself. But when I was talking to consumers or teaching my sales staff, and actually the sales staff is every single one of those 120 people, by the way. That was the culture that we lived. I mean, from the job site being cleaned up and no cigarette butts when you pulled in off of the car. I mean, we talked about it, and we built this culture where everyone felt like at the end of the day, this was their company, their project. They were treating the client as if they were a guest in their own home. And so to do it's not easy, but as an outside interior designer or an interior designer who works on a team with an architect and a builder and a landscape architect, it's crucial that you get together and talk about how are we going to make this experience the complete experience. And we're not going to let the client know what goes on behind the scenes where we might have a discussion about something that one of us feels should be changed. And so it's very important. And I agree in the sales process, how you communicate that, the tools that you use, and then your past clients being able to verbalize that and explain to people. So again, it's even teaching your past clients that are your referrals and your endorsers when someone goes to check a reference, saying, oh my God, the experience was amazing and this is why, in their words, what it meant for them. So building a culture and building a team, has, some key elements under it, but it really takes this whole, bringing everybody together from the realtor who, works every day in a real estate office. And when the realtor comes into our office, understanding how we worked and what we respect them and what they're going to bring for us, it's all of those parts and pieces.
It's so true. And again, there's things, I love when I talk to really, truly knowledgeable, professional salespeople, because you hear in your conversation all the things that we know are true. And what I love about it is even the example of no cigarette butts on the driveway. I mean, this is, Nicole Heimer was on the show a couple of months ago, and she is a branding expert, and she talked about that your brand needs to be visible in all the nooks and crannies of your business. And this is an exact example of this. If you guys in the main office, you and your partners and the leadership team of this building company all decided that this is what our client experience looks like. We are top shelf. We are buttoned up. We are efficient. We care about the job site. We care about all of this. But when the client goes up to the job site to check on their home or to meet you for a walkthrough meeting or the GC or whatever, and there are cigarette butts strewn all over the place and garbage all over the house that might only be in the stick stage, doesn't match up with the things that you told them when you sold their house. Now, do they like cancel the contract in the middle of the? No, that's not a cancelable offense, but it's also very noticeable when it does match up. Because I mean, look, every designer listening has been on a job site before and has walked up and found like a garbage pit half the time. It's like, you know what's so funny, Wendy? We bought a townhouse a few years ago. And after we downsized from our home, and when we bought the townhouse, we decided to gut the one guest bathroom. And when the contractor started to pull the wall down and everything, and then all of a sudden we were, now we're back to the studs. And he's like, we're just going to do the whole thing over again. We're like, okay, fine. We go back to the studs, and there was like this crawl space behind where the shower is into a blank spot into the gut of the townhouse, right? Do you know that back there was literally 2 or 3 garbage bags from the local fast food store? I was like, that's like just living in the walls of my house. Like, that is so
Horrible.
Disgusting. You know what I mean? And I just thought to myself, why? Who does that? So maybe it was one trade that left it there, but there was a trade that really nailed the sheetrock up there looking at the garbage and just said, the hell with it. I mean, I just was like, this blows my mind. The lack of care and respect. And so it is no wonder that your company grew to such success, because I can hear it in your description. Like you said, how are we going to make this a complete experience? And I'm harping on this because this is a very transferable lesson to every single designer listening. It's take this all the way through from, your trades. If you hire, I've had designers say to me, Wendy, my one wallpaper guy is a really great guy. He's super, super talented, but, he's a mess. He just, maybe he just is disheveled looking. Maybe he's, once a big one is smokes and comes into the house and, doesn't smoke in the person's home, but smells of smoke. These are brand definers, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I was going to say, taking it a step further, one of the things that we did, and I highly recommend to everyone who's listening to us today, is we actually, very important, we treated our subcontractors and our trades and our suppliers like, respectful, like they were part of our company.
Yes.
So therefore, even though this particular guy who's putting up maybe drywall today doesn't speak any English,
right,
and he might not be wearing our logo on his shirt because he has his own company that he, works for, that he believes that, he's representing us as a company. So and then not only that, when we need him to come out in an emergency circumstance because something happened, like whatever, we all know things happen, he's going to come out and treat us with the same respect. And when we call him and tell him we're ready for him to be on the job site, this is all the lessons to the contractors or even the designers, we're ready for him and we're not having them waste their time.
Yes.
So again, we go back to that culture. We go back to the subs and trades who, unfortunately, left that trash, which is a horrible, a horrible experience. But, and so as designers on this call, or architects, you really need to take the time to get to know your trades. And even if this guy doesn't happen to have a really nice dress code, he can still learn the language, understand how you work, what is important to you, that your clients experience. And it's kind of like training your own employees. And that's what we used to do. I bring in the outside interior designers that we used to refer tons of beautiful homes to, and I would teach them how my superintendents work so that I didn't bring them into a project and then later the superintendent says to me, I'm having such a hard time with this designer, she can't make a decision. And it's because, again, I want the superintendents to love the designers as much as I did in the design process. And then when it got out into the field, everyone was happy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it always starts with setting up clear agreements with clear expectations, and then the agreement on those expectations before you go forward. And when that happens, you're much more likely to result in a positive outcome and a positive collaboration with all the parties involved, right?
Exactly, exactly. And so really that's what led into my future life once I took that hat off. I'll never not be a builder in my heart because I love that part of the business. And believe me, it's a labor of love. There's not always it's not probably the most financially easy way to make money today, but it is. It's the same thing with all the other, the design aspect of it. But so what I really took that to the next level and really said, we need to share the fact that everybody who's listening here and all the other companies out there that want to grow their business, that they don't have to take 100% of everything we're talking about, but just start to take a little bit in and start to implement it into the way you think. Even if you're a sole proprietor, or you have 3 people, or you have 15 people, or 150 people, it's really a mindset.
Right. And is this where you're talking about you started to transition into PowerHouse Advisors, where you work as an executive consulting and coaching services for various industry companies?
Yes. So for 18 years, I worked for this one design build firm. And by the way, I do have to say 2 things that were instrumental. And so I often tell this to people is, we really made we let our employees know we care about you, which is so obviously on topic today, right?
Yes.
Well, this is a long time ago. And we actually threw our name in the hat to be one of the best companies to work for in our industry.
Oh.
And this is, in probably not even 2000, maybe 95, 96. We became 1995 or 96. We became one of the best. I think it was 8, one of the best 8 companies to work for in the nation by Professional Builder magazine, and we were on the cover, which was really huge. And we celebrated that with our employees because, of course, they did their homework. It was like J.D. Powers coming in and interviewing your staff to make sure we were what we said we were. So that was one. And then the other was we were selected as Custom Builder of the Year. At that point, it was Custom Builder magazine out of the East Coast, and they had a Custom Builder conference in Chicagoland. And we had built a concept home, which was again another marketing example of how we did. There's a lot to talk about these 18 years, but I don't want to have to get off topic for you. But we were the Custom Home Builder of the Year, and then we did a model home that I remember the buses coming from downtown Chicago to the suburbs with 30 and 40 out of town Japanese builders and different nationalities. It was so exciting. And then we gave them a tour, and not just a tour like this is the kitchen, but a real, from a builder and architect designer's perspective, a tour of our concept home. So there were several things that we did to grow the brand, but really, even if we were awesome at marketing, which we had a great team, it was about the culture and building this company where, every employee was congratulated and thanked if they ever referred any business, and of course compensated if necessary. And then I would take a pie chart every month because we tracked all of our results, of course. And I would say that at least, I think it was 22% of our business came from our subcontractors. Oh. So we actually built a home for our concrete guy. We built a home for our electrician. We built a home for another builder who was a production builder. So we really became, it was contagious. It was a contagious feeling.
That is amazing. It sounds so exciting to be part of something like that, to have that kind of, it just when you have a vision for the way you want your company to think, feel, be, and the types of things that you want your employees to think, feel, be, and then to see it reflected in them is got to be insanely satisfying.
Oh, absolutely. And so that feeling of satisfying, being fulfilled is what I transferred over into when I take my builder hat and I put on my PowerHouse Advisors hat. That's what I wanted to do for the rest of my next career journey. Let's put it that way, since we're all going to live to 100, right, LuAnn?
Exactly.
So
hopefully, right? We got more to do.
Yeah, totally. Can you imagine? You and I are like maybe at the halfway point in our lives.
I
know. Okay. Right.
Oh my goodness. So that's what you do. So you take this now and you start to teach other companies and advise them on how to replicate the success and the systems that you had.
Right. Correct. And, a lot of times it was business consulting, and a lot of times it was, like you said, systems and processes and really internal communications, getting the team behind where the company wanted to go. And then it was strategic planning. I mean, what aspects of their outreach to potential new business were they, tapping into, what needed to be improved. So it wasn't just sales and marketing, it was really business development. And so I did that for as my main focus for, I want to say, maybe 10, 11 years. And then what was quite obvious, which I was so, again, fulfilled to, see, is these companies were growing, and I was helping them because I felt like I was a member of the firm, even though I was an outside consultant. I was helping them recruit and hire and orientate and train and indoctrinate these employees in this new culture that we were building. So my natural past experience of bringing on people, recruiting and training and hiring and developing people went into my consulting. And so I was having firms call me and say, well, can you help me on your PowerHouse Advisors consulting? I just need the recruiting side of things. And at first I was like, wow, I never really saw myself as that, because I've always been part of the whole picture, but absolutely. And so then became the birth of, under the PowerHouse Advisors company umbrella, was the recruiting division. And that's where I am today, really helping way more people, both the hiring employers and top talent candidates, find their perfect match. And, it feels like you're helping everybody grow, not just the company.
That's terrific. And so with the recruiting division of your firm now, so tell me a little bit about it. If I've got an interior designer listening and he or she is looking for a new position and she's in the Chicago, is it strictly to Chicago, or do you work all over the country? And to what level? So either I'm a firm looking to hire somebody, or I'm a designer looking to switch jobs or get my first job. Is there a certain criteria? Do you only work with certain segments, Wendy, or do you work from entry level all the way to C-suite? Tell us a little bit about how we can self-select ourselves within your process there.
Yes, sure, absolutely. And I'll start off by saying, you know what, when you're hiring, except for the labor part, which is, the laborers that
The
are
trades.
so important to every project. Yes. I would say when you're hiring any employee who's going to be in your company in the industry that we're in, which would be architecture, construction, landscape architecture, building materials, cabinets, kitchens, bath. When you're hiring anybody, it doesn't matter how big or small your company is. The key is you're really looking for the perfect fit, somebody who has an affinity to the same culture that you want to build. Maybe they aren't familiar, but just in talking with them, you can understand their interpersonal skills, their adaptability, and will they be a good fit? So when people ask me, well, do you work for the big contractors of, that build the skyscrapers in Chicago? Absolutely. Because aren't you still looking for a project manager, a project architect, a project coordinator, an estimator, a site superintendent? Don't you still want them to have that same culture? It doesn't matter how big your company is. What I need to learn from each one of those job fulfillment requests when someone calls me is, who's the hiring manager? Who are they work with? Who's going to onboard them in training? What is the training program? And then let's just chat a little bit more about your company and who you are, so that I can find the perfect match. And I can do that in our industry because I've been on that side of the table. I mean, we didn't build skyscrapers, but building a skyscraper and building a 30,000 square foot custom residence, there's a lot of similarities, although one's usually a little higher. But some of our residential projects were commercial based, and since then I've done a lot of consulting for commercial developers and whatnot. So I understand their world equally as well. So we do recruiting across the nation. I would say that our sweet spot has been the Midwest and the West Coast, because I have residences in both locations. And so I have a lot of sphere of influence in that area. And it's anybody who's in this industry, and anybody who really wants to have somebody handpick the very best and they're not always just from the job boards. I have my own internal database because I get a lot of people know me, and so a lot of people call me or send me their friends or family when they're looking for a position, and it's that perfect match, very similarly to when I used to make sure that our clients, our prospects, when I was a builder, is this prospect a good prospect for our company? I mean, can we make this person happy? Is their budget within the time for, within the range that we can build within? Are they looking at a realistic time frame? Do they want a complete experience? And sometimes you have to learn to say that isn't our client. And sometimes I've had a quick conversation with recruiters and said, you're probably looking for something like this. But in most cases, we've placed architects, project managers. I've placed a marketing director. I've placed a CFO. I've placed general managers. I've placed design interns, landscape architects. So it's just a matter of trying to understand people and helping both the employee find the perfect fit and the employer.
I love it. I love it. And what's funny is I'm hearing you say 2 or 3 times, when you're looking for truly the right quality person, that you really are serious about the fit being right, the skill set being right, the culture being right. And so that means this isn't like, hey, maybe I'll put an ad in Indeed or I'll call Wendy. It's like, right?
Exactly.
It's right. So that's what we have to hear between the lines, is that this is a level above. And if you are seriously looking to fill a position, or you are seriously looking and you're ready to be recommended to a position, that this is high level recruiting for something that's going to, because your reputation is on the line and your relationships are on the line, right, Wendy?
Absolutely. And I've had so many candidates say to me, just thank you for following up and for being a person on the other end and responding to me. I mean, it's so important that you treat these candidates. And, frankly, I do put the company name on these job posts, whenever I'm seeking out a candidate, and it's a reflection of that company. So I'm using the same strategy I used when I was a custom home builder, in that I am who I say I am. I'm going to be the brand and the face for your company. I'm also going to have the discussion with you as the employer. What is the right compensation? What's happening in the current market? And sometimes it turns into a manpower discussion of who your current people are, moving people around. But it definitely is a reflection of my reputation. And if for some reason we place someone and it doesn't work out, I certainly have a guarantee. And, I feel like I want everyone that I'm working with to feel like this was a winning, connection.
Right. I love it. I think it's awesome. And it's so clear how your particular, work, life, career, and your skill set are so attuned to this. I mean, if you're capable of executive coaching and business coaching firms and companies like this, then you also understand intimately their needs and what kind of things will make their company be the better. And so therefore, when you're in the position to go and find people to fill their roles within their company, it's, there's no gaps in your knowledge. That's what's interesting. You have it all the way through, and it's just probably just makes it so much more successful, every connection that you make, I can imagine.
Yeah, and it's great meeting people. Obviously, I love to get to know people. And even when I was trying to come up with our next keynote speaker for the Luxury Conference 2020, I said, I want to meet, and get to know, and I want it to be a win for the speakers as well as it is for the attendees who come. I want everyone to feel like, this was so well worth my time. We are only on this earth for a short period of time. Let's really make an impact. Let's live our passion, right?
I love it. I think it's awesome. So before we turn our attention to the Luxury Conference, we have the other the other aspect of what you do, which is PowerHouse SMART. And this is your gift back to the community. This is your labor of love. It's an exclusive membership community for design, construction, real estate industry leaders, where it's a place for all of these people to get together, to network, to connect, and to grow, and to learn from each other. Tell us about this association that you've started, Wendy.
Oh, absolutely, and I am. I'm so proud of it. It's very easy for me to describe it, and I hope it becomes contagious. And some people who are listening maybe want to figure out how we can pay it forward. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
So yeah, so when I left the big building firm, and it was a great run for 18 years, and it was sad to leave my staff, my 120 employees that I really felt close to, but I was ready for my next journey. And I said, well, I'm going to help other companies, and not everybody wants to be that big, and that's okay. They just want to be better. And taking a good
Mm.
company and going to great is what I was all about. At the same time, I was having a coffee break like we all do at Starbucks with an architect and an interior designer and a landscape architect. And they were saying, you just over the last 18 years, everyone, you've been everyone in the luxury echelon, and you know so much about branding and marketing and sales and construction and da-da. Maybe you could teach us something, like put together an event and you can speak and share some of your insights, and then you're creating an environment where you're putting the best of the best in the room and we can all meet each other. And I said, what a great idea. So I put together
In my free time, I'm going to whip this up.
exactly. So I put together my first breakfast meeting, and I said, well, what could the name be? Well, obviously we'll take the powerhouse part. And I said, let's come up. How about SMART? SMART will stand for Sales, Marketing, Applications, Resource, and Training. So we had our first PowerHouse SMART breakfast in the suburb that I lived in, and we had about 40 hand-invited, best of the best industry professionals, and they were like shocked to be sitting across the table from the best builder and the best architect, because they've always wanted to get to know each other, and there was never a forum for that. And people came up to me afterwards because, I thought, well, this is nice. I'll do this once or twice a year. People came up and it was underwritten, so I didn't have to pay for breakfast. And people came up to me, I'll host the next one. Can we do the next one at my place?
Wow.
And that was the birth of PowerHouse SMART. So we started with one chapter, we grew to 2, and then 6, and then 8, and then I said, I'm just going to put everybody together. We have 180 members that are by invitation or referral only, and we're really just trying to make sure that everybody in the group has like mind, in the sense that if they get a phone call or somebody reaches out to them from PowerHouse SMART, that they're going to embrace that person, and they're going to share either information, or if there's a potential for collaboration or referrals. Because if you've got someone who says, I don't want to sit next to my competitor, and I don't want to be in a group where my competitor's in, then that's probably not the right fit for PowerHouse SMART.
Mm-hmm.
So we were very careful to do that, and we do continue to grow. So PowerHouse SMART started with a couple, 4, 5, 6 events a year. Now we do 30 events a year, and again, this is in the Midwest. I have been asked to speak in New Jersey and in California, and I have done a lot of that. And people want to have this type of an organization, especially some of the millennials that we have in PowerHouse SMART, get promoted and move to Denver and Austin.
Oh, and they want the group to go with them. They want to start it there, right?
Exactly. So I am very open to that. And so my advisory board, which is, again, our pro bono advisory board of members who have been with me since the beginning, said, make sure we protect our name and our image and who we are. But I'm very open. I'm all about sharing and giving, and that's what PowerHouse SMART is about. It's not a profit center for me. It's it basically break even, and I give all my time, and I run all of the bigger events. My advisory board helps me with the coffee meet and greets, and some of the other events that are smaller. But I do it because it's such a great feeling to watch the companies and the professionals in this group consistently come, share, and their companies grow. I get more emails that say, hey, I'm doing a new custom home with this person, or hey, I'm working on a senior living project over here, or hey, I need, this person is looking for a new career position. So all this synergy happens. I've had people come up and tell me that they took a new job and their first year of business all came from PowerHouse SMART.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really, really awesome. So, and I would tell you that there are many members that are part of PowerHouse SMART that are very involved, and they continue to share this with other people, and that's what makes us grow, because at every event, if you have 30 events a year, if everybody brings 1 or 2 new potential people, then there's new people to meet for everyone in the room.
That's a very ambitious schedule for something that is a break-even entity, 30 events a year. That's a lot of work. 30, I mean, one event a month is a lot of work when you're doing it for the good of the community. Tell me, when you say that you have 8 chapters and 180 members, are they all in the Chicago greater area, or where do they go? Where are they?
Sure. So originally we started just on the North Shore of Chicago, which is a very affluent area. And then we ended up going to the city. So we had 2. And then we went to the western suburbs. So we had 3. And then we did another one on the North Shore, 4, because we were thinking, well, if we keep each chapter to 40 people, then we don't have to have big venues to host events.
Okay.
Then we went to Lake Geneva. Then we went to Milwaukee. And we did a little bit into Madison as well. And I did go to Michigan a couple times. But I decided, instead of me trying to be in all these different locations all the time, I'm just going to invite everybody to come to everything. And I'm very proud to say that there are tons of really high-end professionals in Wisconsin that come to Chicago all the time to go to our events. Likewise, there are many Chicagoans who go to the Lakes area because there's lots of new business to be had, and there's great professionals to collaborate with there. So I would say the Midwest, it probably be easy if someone wanted to open a chapter in Michigan, St. Louis, and Minnesota, because those are so close to us. But I would say that right now we have a 13-year plus standing in the Midwest, and we'll continue to grow that as it goes. And so each one of these events, every month we have one big event, and it's called Builder Architect Hard Hat Tour. No surprise, right? So it came to me about 4 years ago that we need to not just be in the beautiful showrooms of our wonderful trade suppliers, and some of our designers have beautiful showrooms. We need to be out in the field, touching and feeling the projects, and we need to be talking to the builders who sometimes can't break away and come to an event after working all day. So we started Builder Architect Hard Hat Tours. So every month we go to a different location, and members and non-members submit their projects. I go through them all, and with my outsourced team, we figure out which ones we can fit into the day, and we go caravanning. And we take an hour and we learn lessons learned. We learn about different technologies. We learn about different sustainable practices, floodplain issues, you name it. And it's a real education. And they're so different than what the other associations offer that it really gives us a new opportunity to really combine that collaborative group. And I should say also, I'm a strong believer in all the other awesome associations that are in the Midwest and all throughout the nation, that our members are not just a part of PowerHouse SMART. ASID has, so many great benefits for members, as well as home builders, as well as the Architect Institute, all of them. So we collaborate. We'll do a rooftop party. This will be the year this coming summer, with guaranteed rate, with all the real estate community in Chicago and builders, the Builder Association and Home Builders Association. We'll have 200 people on their barbecue at a networking event. So again, and so we'll be at the luxury conference, all the other associations. We really believe that we're people that come together to grow together.
It's really, really something else. And so what you're telling me, first of all, I have to just pick that, builder architect hard hat tour apart. So what you're saying is, instead of one particular month meeting at a tile shop or something for whatever one of your members have said, hey, you could have it at my place this month, you're saying that you vet the location and you have, people have to submit, but we're going to pull up in our cars separately, and we're going to walk into a house that is at whatever stage of construction, and the builder or the architect on that project is going to do a little tutorial on the challenges of that particular project, how he or she overcame them, and the lessons that they learned, and talk about the technology that they might be putting in that house.
Exactly. And we do some commercial projects.
That's crazy.
I know, it's awesome. We have the next one coming up is next week in Chicago, and we're going to visit a project that's on Astor Place. And if you're familiar with Chicago, Astor Place is a coveted Gold Coast location, and it's actually in a building that's very old, 100 years old. And today it has a spiral staircase from the first floor to the second floor. I think it's mid-rise in the structure, and the realtor, who's a PowerHouse SMART member, who's also a designer, is in charge by the investors putting her in charge of finding all the trades to take out the staircase and turn them into two 1,700 square foot units. And so we're going to go pre-demo. This is the first time pre-demo. And all the people that are there are going to learn about how are we going to do this in this very old structure, and how who we need and what we need. So now here's an opportunity for people even to get a project out of it, not only learn.
And it's almost like a little mini brainstorming session too, because who knows, in the audience might come up with a solution or an idea, right?
Exactly. So everybody wins from this opportunity, and the realtor is going to let us go through it again during, maybe at the end. And that's often, sometimes these big houses take 2 years to build, especially on Lake Michigan. We'll go see it at the frame stage. We'll learn all about it from the architect, the builder, the designer, the landscape architect, everything from how long did it take us to get a building permit, and where did you find the client, and was there a budget issue? What were the biggest, hurdles to overcome? And then we'll get to come back and see it. Sometimes the homeowners even want to be there to walk us through.
That's a remarkable opportunity right there. My brain is going all the way down to how, from an insurance standpoint, is that possible? But I don't need to know it really. I'm like, Lynn, that's a little off topic, but I'm just like, whoa. But that is such an amazing opportunity. When I think about the interior designers, the architects listening to the show, and if they're in the greater Chicago area, like, how are you not? Now, you said to join PowerHouse SMART, you have to be referred or invited. So, we have a lot of people listening, Wendy, that are going to be, can they say LuAnn referred me? I mean, like, seriously, how do people, because I know that I'm kidding with that. So, you're going to have designers listening that are going to want this goodness. I mean, what is the criteria, and how would you suggest somebody listening in your area who get an invitation or recommendation?
Yes. Okay. So when I say by referral or recommendation, a lot of our members come through other members. And what I say to our members, because they don't want to refer someone who might not be accepted, is if you would refer that person to your friends or family, or use them on your own projects, then I would consider them like-minded. But if they come through me direct, let's say they come right to the website after listening on this call, and they go to the member directory and they don't see, of the 180 people that are members, that they don't see anybody they know that they could just tap their shoulder. And again, everybody loves to endorse new members because it helps everyone grow. So then, but I do get a lot of emails, and I personally respond to them. I mean, I have my outsourced virtual assistant, thank God. But, we check out their website. We go to their house profile, and a lot of times.
You vet them. Just like if you were going to vet them to place them in a recruiting position, you're going to make sure that they're the real deal, a respectable, upstanding business person.
Exactly.
I think you might get a few emails, Wendy. That
would be great. we love it, and membership is very reasonable. As I said, it's very similar to the other associations, maybe a little less, and it includes all the events. So you don't pay separate for every event, except for the luxury conference, which is our one event. We have, if you go to our website at PowerHouseSmart.com, it's you'll see all the information I'm talking about, all the different events, and you'll see, if you go to the resources, you'll see our advisory board. Those are the 14 people that have been in the organization for a long time. They're mentors. A lot of times they can guest somebody to come to an event, which is typically $75 for no cost. So if you know an advisory board member, because again, we want to grow like-minded individuals. So, but for some people who say, I can't go to that many events, or I live out of town, or then, that's why we created the luxury conference. And we hope it does turn into becoming, this is our 4th year, and that's the one event a year that is a ticketed event. Our members get a discount, but it is the only event that they have to buy a ticket to. And hopefully it'll grow to a 2-day or a 3-day event. And if anybody on this, listening today wants to start a PowerHouse SMART chapter, we can talk about it. We haven't done it yet, but we've had so many inquiries. We just need to make sure someone's got the time and has the passion and really understands it's not about making money. It's about helping us all raise the bar for, and raise the tide for all of us. And the ships will continue to increase.
Yes, I can understand there could be, I hear what you just said in there. They have to make sure they have the time to do it because you have taken your whole life's work to create, as you said in the thing, the complete experience. And so somebody could be very interested and all gung-ho, but if they're not going to really follow through and execute in the way and the vision that you have led it through the 8 chapters in Chicago, I could see that you would be reticent to just say, hey, open a chapter. But what an exciting, amazing opportunity. And now I'm even more excited to be a part of the luxury conference that is happening this February 5th, 2020. And tell us about this conference because this is the culmination of everything here. It's the big party and it's the big learning occasion and it's where everybody is going to come together and really just broaden their horizons. Tell us about it.
Oh, sure. I'm so excited. Yes, absolutely. And I'm most excited, LuAnn, that you are going to be our keynote speaker. But I'll get to that. So every year, this is the 4th year, we decided to put together an event. Again, the topic in our mind is what's our goal? We always start with what's the goal? The goal is we want people to walk away completely inspired, wanting to collaborate with other people, learning something new that they can truly take back into their business. So we do actually sit down and plan that out. I have 2 lovely co-chairs this year. Mark Benner, who's the owner of MEB, which is Mark Eric Benner Architects, and he has been instrumental. In the last 3 conferences, he taught a BIM session twice, and he's fabulous. So he's one of our co-chairs. And Sharon Gilman, who's an interior designer in Chicago, who's just so talented, she's also a co-chair. And then we have our co-chairs who were our co-chairs the last couple of years, and they even came to our video commercial shoot to do a little video bombing. They're hysterical. So they've been instrumental in making sure we pass the torch to the new co-chairs, and that would be Rebecca Pagonitz from GoGo Design Group and Michael Norpel from Norpy's Wall to Wall. So really the 4 of us with our virtual team have been putting together all the moving parts, and I really say it is, quite an array of things that are going to happen on February 5th. First of all, for those of you who say February Chicago, oh my God, how could you?
Somebody said that to me just yesterday. They were talking about putting me on their calendar for Q1 to speak, and I was rattling off. I said, okay, January, I'm going to be at KBIS in Las Vegas. February, I'm going to be in Chicago speaking at the luxury conference. And they went, you're going to be, who does a conference in Chicago in February? And I literally thought to myself, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That is going to be cold.
Exactly. But if you think about it, LuAnn, what a captive audience, right?
That's right. Nobody's walking out to get some fresh breeze.
Right. And I'm not going to get my landscapers telling me this is their season, and I'm not going to get my architects and builders telling me.
This is very practical. You're right. This is a very practical reason, Wendy. Makes sense.
Yes, exactly. Except for those of us who fly in, we all have to get there early,
which is why.
Right. Otherwise, you may not. Last year was an ice storm. My people from Lake Geneva were in 2 hours of like driving at 20 miles an hour for the ice storm. The ones who did not come in the night prior. So this year, we have a block of rooms at the Holiday Inn at the Mart, which is connected.
Oh, that's nice. So we don't even have to go outside.
Exactly. You get off the plane, LuAnn. We'll have the whisk you via ride share to the Holiday Inn.
Love it.
Yes. And then they have a phenomenal sky lounge bar with a view of the river. I mean, Chicago is such a beautiful city.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what time of year. The lights are just spectacular. So we're going to have happy hour on Tuesday night, February 4th. And then the next morning we'll all be hungover enough to go to the conference. We like to party in Chicago.
Oh, that's awesome. So the conference will start Wednesday morning. And you have lots of things planned for this conference. It really is very comprehensive.
Yes, absolutely. We want to make sure no one feels like they have to break away to go check their office. So first, for the general conference opens at 11 o'clock. And so this way, anybody who's coming from the suburbs and who's not a morning person, we know our audience very well. So there'll be a lot of people who will come around 10, and I'll tell you why in a second. But for 30 lucky people, we're having, if you sign up for the conference, you can add on this masterclass workshop from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10:45, and this is going to be at the Monogram showroom. So it's going to be breakfast with Chef John, who is he's awesome. He's going to have a demo in their live kitchen, and we're going to have breakfast with him. So you can get there around 7:30. Check your code at Graph is our coat check. Lux Home, which is the Mart's first floor, is our registration desk, and then go to Monogram and have breakfast with Chef John, and have an exclusive group of only 30 people to hear Diane Primo, who is a branding guru, an unbelievable woman. Her and her husband are one of the have been named, I believe it was last year, one of the 8 power couples in Chicago. So she opened up her firm, Intralink Global, recently, but has in the past been CMO of companies such as Computer Discount Warehouse, CDW, and other firms. She's a Harvard grad, has been a national speaker. Last year, she did a session on branding, and this year she's taking it to the next level where it's going to actually be a little bit of lecture and then breaking out into breakout groups where we're going to help each other, and she's going to walk around and like a bee, she's going to pollinate all of us.
Wow.
So that, yeah, really cool. Very cool. All within the Monogram showroom. So we're going to break up the group of 30 people into separate groups of 5 or 6, and then that interactive part so people can bring their laptops, and then we'll break from there. But that morning masterclass workshop, I'm sure for only 30 people, is going to be filled almost immediately. So that's our morning will start early, and LuAnn, of course, we want you at everything. So
well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't miss that. That sounds outstanding.
Yeah, well, she's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah. And she in our email that just went out today for early bird tickets, she's also put together a video marketing workbook that's a free download. Very, very cool. So if you want that, you can go to the PowerHouse SMART luxury conference website, which is phs20.com. Different than the community website. PHS is in PowerHouse SMART. 20.com.
Nice.
So that's the first part, and then slowly but surely, the rest of the those who like to sleep in will be coming to the Chicago Merchandise Mart and checking in at the Lux Home, dropping off their code at Graph, and then we're going to have a bookstore resource center in the Moen and House of Roll showrooms. They're beautiful showrooms that actually have an opening a door that can slide open to connect the two of them, since they are all under one company umbrella. And they're going to have a really interesting layout. This is the first time we're doing the Bookstore Resource Center. We're so excited about it. We're going to have different stations, I call them tabletops, with our collaborator associations manning those stations to educate everybody who's walking through the Bookstore Resource Center on their association. So if you come to this conference, you're going to meet some 2 staff members from ASID and learn about their community and what events they're doing this year. You're going to learn about Home Builders of Greater Chicago, HBAGC, and their community and their events this year. You're going to learn about ICAA, what's the Institute of Classic Architecture and Art, again, the Chicago chapter. You're going to learn about their community. We have NARI, Illinois, which is National Association of Remodelers. We have the Lakeland Builders Association from Lakeland County in Wisconsin. Excuse me, NKBA in Illinois is going to be there. Yeah, so it's going to be and then, of course, Designs for Dignity, which is our charity benefactor every year, will have also a tabletop to educate people on how to volunteer on projects or donate materials to Designs for Dignity or money. So every year we give a percentage of our ticket sales to Designs for Dignity. It is an amazing organization in 2020 celebrating 20 years of doing pro bono build outs for other nonprofits. I think over the years they have done over over 200 projects. It's an amazing organization, 501(c). And I'm probably missing, I think we have the Illinois Landscapers Association who's going to be there. I think we have 7 or 8 different tabletops because both showrooms together do allow us the space. And then we're going to have some books there for people to browse. I'm going to call it Browse and Brew. So if you come early at 10 o'clock, you can browse and brew between 10 and 11, meet all the associations who are going to staff for that hour, and then see the books that we're going to have both your books, LuAnn. I'm so excited about that. And then later in the day, you're going to sign. You'll be available to sign. And then there'll be a few of our other speakers also have books that'll be there. And Claire, as you know, Claire Stasak will have her social media workbook there. So lots of good tie-ins.
It's going to be outstanding. I'm really looking forward to it. We have, you end the day with a cocktail party and networking after all of this, the speaker presentations. I mean, as we said, Claire Stasak is going to be presenting. And if you're new to this show, Claire was on the podcast number 166. Outstanding lady, so sweet, so smart, has such a successful both design business and blog. And Melissa Galt is going to be speaking as well, who is well known to our interior design community. So there is just a ton of things going on. And the early bird, by the time this goes to air, the early bird's going to be over. So I have to take that away. Okay. So Wendy, to get tickets to this is to go to that website, phs20.com, correct?
That's correct. And you can get either full day tickets, which come at 10 in the morning, so you can stop at the bookstore. And it goes till 7:30 at the night. So 10 in the morning to 11 o'clock is the conference opening, which is where we're going to speak a little bit, and that's where your keynote's going to be. And then we'll have breakout education sessions after that. And then we're going to the live jazz cocktail networking party. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that our sponsors are incredible, and we're going to make sure that they get front and center with everybody who's there, because, I'm not just looking for them to give money to put their logo on something. I really want our sponsors to be interacting with the attendees. We expect at least 300 people, maybe 400. And then at the party, we could go up to, certainly the sky's the limit. We can just spill out into Lux Home. So tickets are available at phs20.com. You can either buy a full day ticket, which, conference opens at 11 and ends at 7:30 at night after the live jazz cocktail party. Or you could, if you cannot break away during the day and only want to come to the party that starts at 5:30, you can buy a party only ticket, which is, yes, that really works well for some of our people that their companies don't let them take the day off.
Yeah, I mean, it just was about, you said that Chicago is a town that likes to have their parties. I'm thinking, the heck with all that learning. Let me just show up for the...
Oh, yeah. The live jazz party is truly a dancing, we're going to have a vodka, it'll be a Gaggenau vodka luge. And, we'll have, of course, beer and wine and fabulous food. And this will be in the Gaggenau, Bosch, and Thermador showroom. And then we're going to spill out into the Lux Home area because we're definitely going to have more than enough people to fill just one showroom. So, we've got great sponsors, and they're going to be, having an opportunity, because one of the things that I missed was we're going to have Power Connection lunches where we're breaking up all of the attendees into groups of 10 to 15, and they're going to be hosted in a showroom. And this is where it's going to be facilitated by one of my advisory board members, and they're going to have a chance to meet each other and network. Everyone gets a chance at the table to talk. Plus, there'll be one top realtor at each one of those lunch Power Connections, and the realtor is going to share with us. Realtors are so important, LuAnn. I've been talking about it my entire life, and I continue to talk about it. So this year we're going to have the PowerHouse SMART 2020 Realtor Roundtable. We're going to handpick 20 to 25 top realtors. We're going to promote them all year long. They're going to come to all our PowerHouse SMART events and network with our community, because I can't tell you, I would not have been able to build my design build firm that I worked for 18 years without having a handful of top real estate agents in different towns that were really like our outsourced sales staff. So realtors are a recurring sales engine for everyone on this call.
This is really something else. I mean, I can think of a half a dozen of my listeners off the top of my head that I have built relationships with that are in the Chicago area. And the simple truth is, what an opportunity. That breakout at lunchtime in tables of 15 to meet, just as you said, a realtor at that table, to meet a builder at that table, to meet an architect at that table. I mean, what an amazing, what's so cool about something like this is, it is the place to start a relationship, right? You don't come to something like this and say, hey, I'm going to come to this and maybe I'm going to leave with a project. No, you come to an event like this and you say, maybe I'm going to meet somebody that I can start a conversation with that might lead to a relationship. And that's how you build a business. That is, what an amazing, absolutely well thought out conference you've put together, Wendy. I'm impressed. I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. And you actually, you put it so beautifully, LuAnn. That's exactly what PowerHouse SMART is all about. Why I do what I do is we create the opportunity for everyone to grow, and you don't come expecting anything in return. You give, and then things come to you because you've given. I love that you said that. Thank you so much. The one other thing I forgot to mention, though, is that we have another breakout session in the afternoon among Claire, who you already mentioned, and Melissa Galt. And that's going to be the industry icons. I have some industry icons that have moved to different things within their career, like John Robert Wilkren, Lucien Legrand, Scott Himmel, Michelle Lawyer, and even some more that are going to be speaking. And really, it's industry icons present their next chapter. So each one are going to take 5 to 10 minutes and talk about their career in a nutshell and their lessons learned, but more so, what is the next chapter? Since so many people come to me every day and say, what's next? What's my exit strategy? What do I do next? So it'll be very, very exciting to see them. And then we also have one other panel that is going to talk about a coveted piece of property on the Chicagoland area across from the lake that no one has been able to sell or develop because it's on a floodplain. And we have a development team of an architect and a developer and a landscape architect that have put together BIM technology to show us how they're going to build a community on this coveted piece of property.
Wow.
So that's, yeah, I mean, there's so many moving parts and pieces. And that's why I'm busy.
Yeah, that's right. No wonder. Yeah. Well, it's the truth. Every time I think that it's, everything couldn't get better, you add another layer to it.
Yes, I know. And so that's why it's good that, people are listening to this, because it is, I know your time is so precious and you're not going to spend a lot of time on the website. You've got plenty of other social media if you're going to be on your computer or your own emails. But if you check out the website, there is a schedule of everything. I'm trying to fit it all in so that you don't have to spend a lot of time doing your own research, but it is going to be quite the day. And we're going to, and if you ever have experienced a group like this is a group that's professional, comes together, but everybody is really so on top of their game and so the kind of people you want to work with and you want to build a relationship with. So you were right on, LuAnn. Thank you.
I love it. I'm even more honored and proud to be associated with it, Wendy, as we have talked, as each week and as each month has gone by and we've gotten to know each other better. I'm just been more and more delighted to be associated with this and to, continue this relationship that you and I have begun, because you are some kind of powerhouse lady.
Thank you. Well, you are too. You are quite the powerhouse yourself, and I hope you get lots of new speaking opportunities, because I know you're going to knock it out of the park, and I'm sure all of our sponsors are going to be going, what about our conference? So that'll be great.
That's awesome. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy to learn about your career and your passion for giving back to this industry that we're both part of, and I really am looking forward to it, and I encourage all of you to check out phs20.com. I'm absolutely 100% 100% convinced that it is a rare opportunity to really expand yourself and your business beyond the world that you are living in now, and to open up the relationships to this extended community in the industry with the builders and the contractors and the architects and the realtors. So, Wendy, thank you. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you in February. I just thank you so much, and have an excellent day.
You too. Goodbye, and thank you again, LuAnn. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.